much improved team. We stole that one, guys.
For sure, bro.
We stole it. Yep.
Ethan.
Here we go.
Kenny, just looking at the fourth quarter performance, obviously you guys were down going into it, but you guys have Donovan and Jaylen Tyson step up in that way, especially Jaylen. What does that mean for you guys to see that?
You know what was, Ethan, the most important thing? Like, our guys trusting Jaylen. I think Dre hit him for a three. Don hit him for a three. I think Evan might have hit him too. And then I was really impressed. He made that drive out of the corner and hit the floater over Vucevic. I mean, I'm just, I've seen scenarios where you just don't trust a young guy, and our guys just kept throwing it to him, and he made huge shots, and then Donovan was Donovan. But it started in the third quarter, right? We came out. I don't know were we going at 12-0 right off the bat. Like, that's real positive in terms of our mentality and who we were. And I'll just summarize the first half. They made every shot. We couldn't throw it in the ocean, and I think at halftime we kind of realized that. We knew we had to up our energy, but we knew they were shooting way over expected. We were shooting way under expected, and kind of came back to even.
This was an interesting one from out of halftime. Obviously, the rim being looked at, and the foul calls. They shot 36 free throws. What did you make of not only the officiating but just the entire scenario tonight?
Oh, it's the NBA. It happens. I don't never like when there's a pause in the game. It's like the players don't like it. They don't want to cool down. But listen, this is a tough game to officiate, especially with all the drives. There's like almost like a collision on every play on drives, and those are tough calls. We'll have to go and look at it, but we can be more disciplined. I think we're getting a lot of cheap ones. We're reaching in at the last second or bailing. We got to cut those out. So I'm not going to put that on the referees. I think there was a little bit more us than them.
Nate.
Kenny, what do you think of DeAndre Hunter?
Oh, forgot about him. Again, I love the pass he made to Jaylen for the three. Then the big box out on Vucevic, right, and got the 2 free throws. You don't make that box out. It's probably a tie game, overtime, or we get a chance to win it. But it's a sign of an excellent player. They don't have 2 poor games in a row, and I knew DeAndre was going to come out. We ran the first play for him. He got to his little midi there at the elbow, and then he played great. We needed him to play great because we didn't shoot the ball great at all. But their defense, they're a much improved team.
What was going through your mind when that crossover happened and everybody got fired up?
Oh man, this is Dre works. He really worked on his game hard. This summer, and I think that part of the work he did was self-creation. Trying to be able to get a little better at creating off the dribble. So that was the first thing I thought about watching all his work out in California and all his kind of diligent work on working on his handles and stuff. So that was impressive.
Ryan.
When you mentioned that Jaylen has that trust, how has he earned that?
I think through his work. I read Donovan said that somewhere. He's in that elite. We have an elite group that's in there every day early and takes care of the body. He has entered into that group, for veterans in the NBA, they see everything, right? And stars see everything. They see who's working, who's not, who's listening, who's not, and he's doing the work, and he's listening to the vets, and it's turned into like the perfect role player. We had to get him off Giddey and put Jaylen on. Tyus was, Jones was killing us, so we had to make that switch. Trey Jones, excuse me, others. Trey was killing us, so we said, Jaylen, get off Giddey and guard Trey. That's kind of like the Swiss Army knife he is for us right now.
What do you think of the way that Donovan and guys like Donovan can switch halves like that after the first half?
It's crazy. because you go. I mean, some nights you just don't have it, right? And third game in 4 nights, and I know they were dealing with that too. But that's just that's the star quality that makes this a great league. There's only a handful of players that can do that. He can do it. Steph can do it. Just very, very few players in our league, and that was he kind of willed us, and obviously with his skill and shot making, it's man, he is playing out of his mind. So it's great. That's a great point. How do you do that? How do you come back from? Was it 1 for 11 or was it 1 for 10? Like just mentality-wise, how do you say, man, I'm going to keep firing it out there? I did like at the beginning of the third, he started taking it. He just said, "Screw it, I'm putting my head down, getting to the rim." I think that got him going.
I heard you last night take responsibility for how you guys have been getting Evan the ball in the positions that he's gotten it. Tonight it seemed like there was a lot of more catch and drives, a little bit more of the sticking to your strength stuff that you've talked about before. Only 1 turnover too. So do you feel like he was more comfortable in himself tonight?
Yeah, and I think let me just look at the stats here. Yeah, 9 efficient, right? Much more efficient. Kind of let the game come to him. Always great defensively, of course, but it's kind of the Evan we need, and that's good enough for us, right? I think. Oh man, you got to get 30. Those games will come. So I think he's been pressing a little bit, and I felt like tonight he let it come to him, and he was getting to the rim. He was putting his head down and being more aggressive, and we're that's a area of improvement for our team. Like we're 29th in rim attempts a couple games ago. We can't just live on threes.
I know that we talked about it a little bit pregame with Sam, but a lot of the stuff he did tonight was pocket passes and used the screens up top. Just how much has his game expanded since you guys have gotten together, and what can that do for this offense?
Yeah, I mean, he always tells me he was a point guard in college. I still got to go back to the tape and confirm that. But especially with DG out, like we need he creates advantages, and you're right. He's making surprising plays to me. He's getting a little deeper in the paint, shooting his floater, shooting mid range. Where I felt like even last year he was all threes. That was kind of it. Sure he played get game with the big guys, but I feel like now he's creating advantages in the paint and doing more. I was thinking, it reminds me of Joe Harris. Is like we had him in Brooklyn, and he was just a catch and shoot guy, and he started getting downhill, started finishing. Like, man, if Sam can get there for us, that's going to be a huge boost to our offense.
Last two, Joe. Yeah.
Boy, well, I have 3. Have you ever thought about if Donovan could lead the league in scoring? And to expand on that, we know what he did last year. Big drop in scoring for a reason. Ever thought about the reverse?
Yeah, you could easily you could run angle, do the Rockets, James Harden offense, just space the floor, play pick and roll every time down the court with him, and he'd lead the league in scoring easily. We could easily switch the system to that. He'd probably. I wonder what he'd say to that. He'd probably like it. That's how talented he is. But I don't believe that's the way we can get to the next level. We got too many other talented players. But listen, when push comes to shove, we go pick and roll with them. When it gets tight. So I think we save it for the right times.
Then follow-up I'll choose is you have played 10 games now.
Yeah.
And there were supposed to be some bumps, but you are 7-3. So I'm just wondering.
Joe, I forgot about that. No, I should have said that to the group. That's like I'm really pleased, right? With the guys we've had out, the in and out, and it's not just DG, right? Sam being out and Jay missing games. So tremendously pleased. Didn't think we'd be 7-3, and the schedule's been, this has been not the hardest schedule in the league. Someone said it was top 10. So we haven't, done it against, weak competition or anything like that.
Last one.
You mentioned the pace of the game when you walked in. When a team is kind of running wild like that, what do you do to slow the game down and get it back?
I mean, we had a we have a strategy against it, and the problem was in the first half we were missing so much. So when you're constantly missing and constantly running back, it's just you could be a perfect transition defense team, you're still going to get hurt, especially if that's their strength. So we were just kind of a victim of missing shots, and they were just coming at it with their strength. We do like to attack the offensive boards, but it sounds kind of not logical, right? Why wouldn't you sprint everybody back? But that's not our philosophy. We believe if you go to the offensive boards, you can actually get your matchups earlier and slow them down a bit. Not sure we executed that perfectly, but man, they're a tough cover. I think this is where the league is turning. We saw it with Indiana last year with their pace to offense. They've kind of mimicked that, and it's a real tough guard. But glad we held the fort.
And then this is a similar question,
Yeah.
but when you're defending the 3-point line, I think they started the game 10-14, and then the second half, I believe 3-15. Is that just a case of they were super hot and they weren't, or what do you do?
I think that's
to
it.
change
I mean,
that?
it regret. Sometimes it doesn't. We knew they were like 80 something. Were they 11 for 14? They're like 80 in the 86th percentile over expected. So we get that information at halftime. Allows you to keep a little calmer. Listen, they're not going to go 11 for 14 again. If they do, we're going to lose by 25. And we look at it like we're not going to go 7 for 26 again, and we did, and it just kind of, came back to, we both came back to our kind of expected abilities, and that turned out in our favor.